So, ladies and gents, here we go. It's episode 26 of the Cobham Rugby Pod. Hello, Duncan. Hello, Blissy. Hello, Pete. How we doing?
Yes. Hello, Pete's evil AI twin.
Evening.
So we're all zoomed in. We're zoomed in right now because producer Mark has, I think, is he taking a holiday or is he's gone to some sort of exotic gig somewhere and he's taking.
Producer
I
Mark
think
has
he's
gone to Cheltenham. He's like 15 pints of Guinness in.
no. I think
He's lost £700 and he's had the
he's
best day of his
but
life.
he's yeah, but he's won a lot at the auction.
Yeah.
So we're zooming in from various places. Oh, this is episode 27. The Podfather has just told us. Sorry, I beg your pardon. Episode 27.
Good Lord.
Minus 5 points, Blissy.
Make you fired as the host.
And it's great to see Pete. Pete's back after a wee bit of a hiatus. Pete,
I think that's
Good
iPhone
to be
Pete.
back. Good to be back.
Yes. Good to have you back, Pete.
Thank you, Blissy.
so before we jump into the Cobham review, and then we'll obviously break for the Surrey review and cover all things Surrey and then into the Six Nations, we are joined by a very special guest. Some of you might recognise his voice. Some of you may have graced the pitch with Gavin. Gavin Bolton is the chair of Junior Representative Rugby for Surrey. And so effectively, I'm going to chuck some words into your mouth here, Gavin. It means you've got overall responsibility for the delivery of the CB's age grade rugby for girls and boys. That sound about right, Gavin?
Sounds about right, especially when you write this stuff and stick it on the Surrey website. So yeah, pleasure to be here, chaps. So yeah, thanks for that. But I wouldn't say I'm particularly special. So yeah, we'll leave that there.
Don't sell yourself short, Gav. What does CB stand for?
It's constituent body. So all of the counties across the country are known as constituent bodies. It's just how they're referred to for the purposes of the RSU.
Very, very poncy.
Yeah, so read CB as Surrey, ultimately.
Yeah, okay. And Gavin, I'm going to ask you just a warm-up question. Tell me, how is the neck, back, shoulder, whichever is the most wounded rugby injury that you have?
So I was stood on the sidelines at our last Vets game talking to Becky Gregory, who also physios for Surrey. And she looked at me in disgust. She said, "Why are your boots on?" And I said to her, "You know that when you've got 3 consultants looking after your physical health, you absolutely need to be playing a game of Vets rugby for Cobham on a Friday night." So yeah, I've got a few things going on, but that's 20 odd years in the front row for you, hip, back, neck, you name it. But yeah, it is what it is. And a very good friend of mine always told me you're a very long time retired. So yeah, long may it continue. I hope I can get fixed to a way where I can start enjoying my rugby a bit more than I do now with the aches and pains that follow for a week or two after.
So fix yourself so that you can break yourself again.
We're rugby players at the end of the day.
Yes.
Indeed.
Cracking. Good. Gav, can you talk us through a bit of your role, and then we'll get on to later on about, what are you seeing in across Surrey rugby? What are the trends?
Yeah, so I've been part of Surrey for quite a while now. I first started when I became the team manager for the boys under 15s, which is interestingly an age grade that isn't supported by Surrey anymore. It's Quins only. But yeah, I was the team manager for them, and I really enjoyed that because some of those boys now are featuring in the senior sides and the under 20s. And I really did enjoy meeting them and doing what I could to help develop and grow them through their rugby journey. And so that was a management role. I then took on my coaching badges and I did my referees course just to really know and understand the game, and then started assisting with the girls program. That was the under 16 girls at the time when I started coaching for them. And that moved into the under 18s because a lot of us stay together. I then helped out with some of the boys program, then got involved in the women's coaching, and Steve Tomlinson was my predecessor. He moved on to England and divisional responsibility. So as a result of that, I had to step back from his role, and I was kindly invited to take on that role of the chair of junior representative rugby. And as you said before, my role really is just to make sure that the team managers, the coaches, and everyone involved in all of the age grades for girls and boys in the county have got the support of the county. There's a lot of liaison. There's a lot of feeding up into the RPPG, which is chaired by Tyrone Lawless, where across our counties, yeah, and the man that is Ty, that we're doing what we are to do under regulation from the RFU, for the players to continue on their journey, whatever that may be. And so, yeah, it's a really, really satisfying role. Watching boys and girls running out in a Surrey shirt, the joy that comes from that. I think when you get a bunch of players together who don't know each other, playing at lots of different clubs, and they're still in their little club bubble, to then see them after a programme completely bonded as one team under the Club Surrey ethos, it's just a fantastic feeling. And yeah, loads of credit to the managers and coaches that deliver that. I can't take the credit anymore. I sit above there and agree to spend stuff and make sure everyone's doing what the RFU intend around it. But yeah, it's a really fulfilling role, and I'm very privileged to have it.
Gavin, it's Pete. Hi. Just what's the biggest challenge that you face in that role with Surrey?
Do you know, I think it's the same as always. It's the volunteer status that we have within the game. All the people we have involved are volunteers. So we have to try and make that attractive for people to get involved in Surrey, give them a pathway not only as a player but as a coach. So some of the things we've done, John Simmons, people will know him at Isha, has come in as a coach developer, because we recognise that when people are volunteering their time to coach, which they may feel is a step up in the coaching that they experience at club level, that they get the full development, that the county can assist them with their coaching. And so, yeah, it's about supporting the volunteers, showing them that it is an open process for people to come and join. We do applications, we do interviews for some of the roles because it is that competitive. And then, yeah, ensuring people are spending their time wisely within the game to learn about everything, to make them better coaches, to take back to clubs, and stuff like that.
Right, thank you.
Brilliant. And Gavin, how do the players become Surrey players? What's the process? Is there a selection? Is there scouting? How does it work? And how do the aspiring youngsters try and get a bit more noticed?
Good question.
Yeah, so the pathways is something I can come on to later. But whenever we have we have an age grade calendar. It's probably the most complicated spreadsheet you will ever see in your life, but it pretty much maps out the whole year of
You're talking to the spreadsheet guy, Gavin.
How many look at it and go cross-eyed, but it's really prescriptive on the activity that young people should be having within the game, and some of that does create a bit of criticism, because some people want to do as much as they can, but we really are restricted with the exposure our young people have at rugby for lots of different reasons, and we haven't got the time to go through them all. But what that then does is maps out, say, the under-16 boys, the under-17 boys, the under-18s boys across the season. So we've got the activity, and at the point that we start, say, the under-18s, the cohort from the year before will be invited to trial. Schools will be emailed to say you have nominations to make, and clubs are also emailed to say, please make your nominations. And anyone listening to this who is involved in clubs and schools, this is the point where we really should be joining up in order to ensure that the right people get nominated. So if we were a cohort of players that all at Cobham, and we're also at the same school, then I would expect the head of rugby and the coach at the under-18s to be talking to say, well, I'll nominate Mark and Andrew, and then you can nominate Luke and Sneedy. and then you've got double the representation of the players that have earned the right to go on that trial. Because what I do find is that the clubs will nominate the same people, and there's missed opportunity with the nominations that they could have had through their schools and their clubs. And as always, we then have a trial. That can take many different forms. And this is where a bit of autonomy comes with the lead coaches that we have, who I must say are fantastic. They have a decision to make on how they want to do their trials. Some really focus on core skills and the basics. Catch and pass is some of the first things they do. And they see someone who can't necessarily shift the ball off the left hand as a front row forward. You can be as big as you like. If you can't tip on, you probably aren't at the level that the county will like to do in order to have the best possible players together, which really enhances the development of all players when they're playing county rugby. So they will then have a game, and we all know that those who can catch and pass don't necessarily tackle particularly well. So all of these elements that have built up across the entirety of our game are then assessed. And the one bit I really like is that everyone makes notes. All the coaches, assessors, and selectors come together at the end. There's normally some food involved and a good chat, a bit of banter. But we then just pretty much discuss most of the players to say, well, this is what I saw. These are the feedback points. And we try really hard if people are unsuccessful that they get a small amount of feedback so they know what their work-ons are. And there you go. You've got a squad selected. They will then train. They will then play. And they are their opportunities to not only be part of that, the best players that we feel in the county playing together so they can increase their development on their journey, but also we have Quins sitting above it in some of the levels that is the aspiration that they are picked up by Quins if they're not already, and they're in their player pathway, hopefully, to a career in professional sport.
Mm.
Very nice. I was going to say, Gavin, we obviously kind of had Tyrone on the podcast before. Kind of one of the bigger things that we talked about was the decline in player numbers that was seen kind of obviously during, because no one was playing, but kind of after COVID, and how it's sort of starting to sort of build back up again to where things were. Are you seeing something similar in the kind of the junior levels? I mean, obviously, kind of potentially a big drop off as people kind of weren't sure what the return to play would look like, because obviously kind of it seems more recently there seems to be sort of more and more studies and articles coming out about the potential dangers of rugby and whatnot, whereas kind of, are you seeing parents and kids sort of accepting that as part of the course? And yeah, we understand, however, kind of these processes are now in place to manage things like injuries and return to play, or kind of, are you seeing a slower or reduced number of players in the junior section as opposed to previous years?
Yeah, I from my point of view, obviously, COVID has been devastating for our game, and I'm not sure we're quite back to where we were before. I think the interest is returning. The players' numbers aren't, but the county rugby, I think, is just a little bit of a different beast to club rugby, because we probably would still have the cohort wanting to trial and play for the county. But the one thing that we really did see was the reduction in the core skills ability. So we would have an under-16 group who were probably a year or so behind in their core skills just when we came back. And that has affected the rest of the age grades as they've gone forward. We've been really surprised in how quickly it's picked up through the extra training and the focus on the core skills. But from the county perspective, and I could talk about club, but from that side, we still had healthy numbers. They did drop off a little bit. The core skills weren't quite where they should have been. And we had some very tentative young people in the game that we saw. And I think from a parent perspective, they just want really good comms. When it comes to safety, the return to play, and why we're doing what they're doing, as long as they know what that why is, then I found they've come on board. There are some horror stories where some really good pedigreed schools are considering not having their rugby programs, because of the risk of injury and concussion. And I talk from a really personal point of view. You know, my brother went in for a tackle, got a knee on the head, shot his brain over the other side, so he had a bleed on the brain here and a bleed on the brain here. Had holes in his head, sucking clots out. You know, it's a real thing, and people do get worried. But when we see in the professional game, people getting monitored by their gum shields, you know, the advances in headgear and that protection that it gives, but also the tackle height, controversially, you know, that is there for player safety. And Sneedy knows, when I played against him for the Surrey Vets, against the Cobham Vets, you can't even go late and low these days like we were taught, because you get pinged. All of which responsibility for ball carrier and tackler means that hopefully that confidence comes back in the game, and we can establish the higher participation rates that I know is a strategic intention in the RFU.
That's really interesting, Gav. Tell me, how much engagement do you have with the parents, and how can the parents help at all in the process?
Yeah, so as I said, comms are always key. So we try and manage everything on email. Some of the team managers love a WhatsApp group. Everyone always groans when another one pops up, but end of the day, that's how we manage in this day and age. And yeah, we always try to do sort of in-person briefings. So when we got a trial day, you know, I've stood there in front of a couple of hundred parents just explaining what's going on, what we're about and what we're trying to achieve. And then, yeah, so I remember one day down at Pearly John Fisher's grounds where we had to cut.
Pearly!
Yeah.
It exists. It's a real club. I don't believe
I didn't believe it. Last week, Pete wrote it down in the Surrey Review, and I was like, this is not real. It wasn't real because it didn't say old before it.
Yeah.
So it exists. But the method that we had adopted that day was that we were going to stream at lunchtime. So I had to stand there literally with a laptop calling out names, saying, right, you lot are all in. The rest of you, if you haven't heard your name, you're going home. And then I have a load of parents going, well, hang on, what's this about? So sometimes we don't get it right. And yeah, we can have parents saying, well, I don't think you correctly assessed our child. I think they're better than that. You've missed this, you've missed that. But at the end of the day, we're people. We aren't perfect, and we only try and do what we can do. We're all volunteers. We're all trying to do the right thing, and opportunity will always come. And that's the main thing that I will always put across to parents, is that these opportunities come round, you know, every year. Hopefully they get feedback. Hopefully they'll get their work ons and they agree that potentially, you know, that wasn't the right day. But it is a flawed system that you get one day to trial, and we all know we don't always have good days. So yeah, I've had lots of emails with people not happy, lots of phone calls to say this is what we're doing, but I'm more than happy to do that, because I'd rather have the reputation and the knowledge out there that, you know, we're open to criticism. We won't always get it right, but we'll do what we can to keep people happy.
Nice, Gav. Brilliant. And before we let you go, I see you're sporting some sort of tie. It looks like a Cobham tie from where I'm sat, but go on. What is it?
It's not
CC tie.
This is a nice county tie. And I'm glad you've asked, because one of the things that I've made sure of is that that you can recognise who's done what with a tie. So the different colours represent the different age grades. We've also got like an online shop for Surrey. So the stuff you can buy on the online shop isn't what we give to our players. So our players would get a different colour, a different set of kit. And for the trained eye, you will know that somebody's just gone on the website and bought a load of stash, or they've represented the county, which I always think is really important, because I remember when I played for the Surrey team, I had my big cotton, like, if you remember them in the day, with the massive collars with the embroidered Surrey Rugby on the back in gold, big maroon thing. And it was the best thing I owned at the age of 16, I can assure you. And I want to make sure that the players have that experience too, that when somebody sees them in the blue shorts, the blue socks and the blue polo, that they know that they've represented their county.
Love
Excellent.
it.
Fantastic. That is fantastic.
Well, Gavin, thanks very much for hanging on late tonight, and we hope to see you back on the pitch very, very soon. And from all of us at Cobham and from the pod, thanks for all your work. Cheers.
Yeah.
Cheers. Cheers,
Well,
Gavin.
is this the time I
Good
tell
luck.
you I'm playing for the Met tomorrow in North Bristol against Duffy Powers Police in the Police National Cup quarter-final? Is that the right time to say it?
Oh, no, that's
Oh,
Yeah.
perfect.
Perfect.
Right.
We'll
It
shut
never
down.
stops, lads. It never
Shout out
stops.
to the Met. Shout out to the Met.
Brilliant.
Good luck.
Cheers, guys.
Yeah,
Thanks,
enjoy the
everyone.
game.
Thanks, Gav.
Cheers,
See you
Gav.
later. Bye.
Cheers, Gav.
I wonder what a game between two rival police forces is like.
Mm. Yeah. That's
And
not
imagine the nitpicking with the referee. No. The law is.
This is the law.
I don't know. Okay, it must
Like-
be a little bit niggly.
Yeah.
Yeah.
The referee is ironically a criminal.
Yeah.
Yeah, think longest yard.
Yeah.
We're gonna
It's a
kill. We're gonna kiss.
guys. Got you.
Oh,
And by the way, did you notice that we're being graced by the presence here on the Zoom? I know he says he doesn't.
he
Doesn't-
asked me. He asked me if he could listen in, and I said, "Can you?"
We're blessed. Like
we-
Deaf Alex is on board. Deaf Alex, we can't see you. Yeah, but there he is.
Yeah.
Hello,
There
mate.
he is.
How you doing?
Good, guys. Thank you.
It's all right.
So
Yeah,
I'm,
no,
I'm
yeah,
assuming you. I'm
Are you
assuming
gonna hang around for talking bath later, Alex?
Talking in the
Yeah, talking in the bath.
in the bath with Luke Bliss.
Yeah, in the bath with me, Blissy.
we can do that. We can talk about the
Yeah,
new
no.
league player that's coming over from Racing and the demolishing of Gloucester at the weekend.
Oh no, I wasn't actually going to talk about Bath Rugby. I usually just say Bath didn't play again. this
I know. I just happened to read that this morning.
weekend.
Do you, Alex? Did you join the pod so that you could hear from somebody that you aspire to be in terms of the amount of admin you'd like to take on?
You got to think about
he's,
this, Duncan. Alex doesn't join many things to hear much at all.
I make up the quota of the club. I think he does a huge amount, doesn't he? And he I've tried to get him coaching with his daughter, but he's having none of it. He just stops and like takes a step back for at least once. He's a cracking player. I was behind him as he cracked the arm in two places of that Isha flanker that tried to tackle him. That was interesting.
Yeah, that was quite a game.
I can just my one kind of lasting thought from going to watch that game is kind of as the ambulance rolled across the field after we'd kind of all stood around in the cold for about 45 minutes, wondering when this guy was going to finally be allowed to move, was that I bet he had left the house, like kind of waved goodbye to the missus, who definitely had told him multiple times that he wasn't going to play rugby again, and to not get hurt, that he was going to have to call her on the way to the ambulance, on the way to hospital, being like, "Yeah, I have broken my arm in two places, and you're going to have to do most things around the house now."
100%.
Yeah, it's like I've broken my arm in two places. I really need to poo. Can you just?
Alex, I tell my kids I don't like those jokes. They're like 8 and 11.
Shall we jump on to the Cobham?
Review?
All right.
The Cobham review. Soundtrack to be added in later when Mark's back from Cheltenham.
It's not going to work.
All right, so the Cob/Chobham under 12 we combined with Chobham.
Yeah. Did it last week as well, didn't we?
Bloody hell. The world we live in today. Anyway.
The Chocobim.
The Chobham under 12 Cobras played the next round of their Surrey Cup campaign against Farnham in a very wet, muddy but fun match. A strong performance from the Obham, from the Obham team resulted in a comprehensive 7-1 win A great display with some superb tackling from Sophie, a length of field try by Eva, playing up an age group. So Eva is confirmed quick. And some fab rucking throughout by Izzy. Nyla was player of the match, and Rosie Davey nominated most improved, an award that I have also won. So probably the best one. We mentioned Rosie last week playing in the under 11s. This week she was playing under 12s. Well, that's improving. You're literally
Well
improving
done.
a whole,
Awesome.
literally
work, Rosie.
improving a whole year. Well done, Rosie. The girls really stepped up a gear with strong running and rucking. You can see some of the pictures on social media of the mud spa. Just don't let Nick Humber see the girl making the mud angel.
That's all.
The under 12 Eagles put in their performance of the season while going down 8-2.
Oh.
What? To a massive ding and
Yeah,
very
there
well
it is.
drilled Roslyn Park A's. The match was far more competitive than the scoreline suggests, and we were very proud that the boys' heads never dropped.
Well done, fellas.
Under 12 Griffins lost a nip and tuck encounter with Battersea Ironside Bees 2-3,
Oh,
with a number of the under 12 Lions regulars making excellent debuts for the Griffins. I'm not quite sure what sort of, if it's tiered or if it's streamed or mixed or ability, but that's brilliant.
What noise does a griffin make, Duncan?
I don't know, what noise does a griffin make?
I don't know. I was hoping you did.
Well, I just shrieked. iPhone
Right,
Pete.
okay, so it was another action-packed day for the under-13 boys teams with 2 games to report on. First up, Lions 50, Guildford 20.
50.
Lions
Nice.
50, 5-0, yeah,
50.
5-0. The Lions finished their campaign in fine style, beating Guildford B by 10 tries to 4. Completing the round-robin section with 2 home wins has shown how well the squad have progressed after 3 tough away matches.
Nice.
Tries from Ben Small, Harry Harding, Jay Gaboma, 2, Troy Davey 2, and Ben Clark 2. One from Josh Andrews and Oscar Emmett. Well done, fellas.
Wow.
Good work.
Oh,
Some
well
lads.
Spreading the try score.
Brilliant
Running
stuff.
rugby.
done, lads. And on to the Leopards, who beat Worlingham away by 30 points to 0.
Nice.
Often you see
Wait,
it.
getting
Not
nilled at
often you-
home.
Yeah, not often you see
Yeah.
that.
Oh,
Leopards continued their stunning form, running in 6 wonderful tries in filthy conditions. Playing as a team, using the ball well, the boys ignored the mud. Brilliant body positions meant the pack won numerous scrums against the head,
Yes.
yes, it's the dark arts.
The boys.
showing the much weightier ding
Ding.
opposition that technique wins over size. Right, wonderful. 4 tries.
This is the
4.
third week in a row we've said his name.
Yeah, Amari O'Gunley, 4 tries. Well played.
Nice.
And even 2 for the Podfather designate, aka Max Sneed.
Pod son. The pod
Yes.
son.
Pod
Mick,
son.
Mick, why does it sound like a fun, good thing when you say filthy? 6 wonderful tries in filthy you made the conditions sound brilliant.
Filthy.
Not filthy. Right. So the under 14 boys finished their Waterfall Cup group campaign with a 43-7 win away against Farnham under 14 Bs. They topped the group with 4 wins from 4, can't do better than that, and will head into the final at the end of April. It's arguably the team's most complete performance of the season, despite us missing some key players for strength and depth. And all 18 boys involved playing a vital role against a competitive and spirited opposition who were yet to lose. So clash of the unbeaten teams there. It was great to see some of the non-regular starters really step up, with special mentions to Owen Abid and William Courts, who both got on the score sheet. 7 tries and 4 conversions on a boggy pitch. Was it really rainy on Sunday?
Yeah, I think it was.
Yes. Yeah, it was. Yeah, it was. It's pretty minging.
Huh, fair enough. Lots to be proud of down at Farnham on Mother's Day.
The under 14s Cobras were up against Wimbledon with the weather as it was, this was always going to be one for the purists. That's us, I suspect.
One for the purists.
Errors
Nice
on
one.
both sides led to inevitable scrums. So the
Oh,
front
good.
row earned their dinner, but we don't mind so much. Wimbledon match
One of our
Cobham.
3 dinners. Thank you.
Correct, yeah. You want to earn your 3 dinners. Wimbledon matched Cobham try for try, with Cobham holding a slim 2-point advantage going into the final 5 minutes. Despite repeated pressure on the Wimbledon line, Cobb couldn't find the score that would seal it and were made to pay when Wimbledon went the length of the field to score, leaving the final score 14-17 to Wimbledon.
Yeah. That is tough.
That is tough. Despite the shift put in by the tight 5, all the accolades went to Sadie and Preet in the centres.
Good work.
Well done,
The
boys.
under-15 boys, A's, played an extremely competitive game against the ever-improving Guildford team in the top tier of the Queen's Cup. While the team had a bit of an off day last week, as reported in the pod, a positive and a well-attended training session midweek allowed the boys to turn their attention to this week's games, and they played some of the best rugby seen from them this season. A really tough game, and the result could have gone either way, but Cobham lost 10-0. to 2 unconverted tries. The boys are shattered from their efforts, and the coach is never prouder. Well done to the 2 Cobham under-15 teams players of the day, Luke Vessels and Casper Harrison, for a first and second in the drinking post-food versus their opposition. Nice to see we can win at something there, lads. Well done. Good to see them embracing the after-match coach's side of their
It comes in very important later.
What? They're drinking squash.
Top, yeah. So
WKDs.
Yeah, when I read that through, that says to me that they basically had a midweek hairdryer treatment from the.
Yeah.
Was that with the angry, poor grammatical coaches from last week? Got it.
Exactly.
It was well attended and angry.
It was.
So here we go. Under 15 boys, Lions lost listen to this, 31-26.
Well, it sounds like a good game. 31-29.
On.
Wasn't there there was a 31-29 game on the weekend, wasn't there?
There might well have been.
No. iPhone Pete will know.
I'm digging Mick.
2 very contrasting styles resulted in a real thriller, with Esher's heavy cavalry scoring first. Cobham's much lighter brigade,
another ding, I guess,
turning round 19-5 ahead before Esher wheeled on their artillery and pounced into submission. Was this written by someone with an army background?
Yeah,
Napoleon wrote this.
Yeah.
We will fight them on the 5-meter line. We will fight them on the 22.
Cobham lost the lead with 3 minutes to go, and then showed verve and panache to come within a few feet of scoring in the final seconds. Alas, it was not to be. Do you know what? I did hear that the club's Violink was wheeled out to some of the youth games of the weekend. I wonder if that was the one. I'd love to see that. That'd be brilliant.
Wow. Yeah.
Don't tell Tommy Cobham that. He'd lose his mind.
No, he told us that.
Oh.
Yeah.
He allowed it out of kind of the locked safe under his bed.
Yeah. Well, maybe he went with it. I don't know.
Maybe. Right. So the under-16 Cobras lost heavily, but showed huge improvement. They really worked together, moving the ball around and getting everyone involved. A real team effort. Constantly on the back foot and huge defensive effort by them all. Got caught out several times by failing to look up and match numbers at the ruck, but they tried to rectify that. A great spirit shown. In future, can the under-16 Cobras coach please include who they're playing? Sounds like they just...
Yeah, we don't have to go back 2 weeks to see the fixtures. Finally, the under-16 boys won 29-5 in a really good game against Weybridge Vandals. This was the cup semi-final and was played in a great spirit with brilliant ref. With a brilliant ref or with brilliant ref?
Who wrote this match report, I guess?
Great debut from Xavier. A debut in a cup semi-final. That's how to do it. Who scored his first
Yeah.
try at the end of the game. So he scored on debut in a cup semi-final. And also a sterling
Nice.
effort from scrum half Smithy. Okay, you guys know who that is. Not us, them. Playing a big game out of position. Also very nice to see Jack Firebrace. Firebrace. Isn't that
Charlie's boy.
Charlie? Yeah.
Yeah.
Back with the under-16s at number 10. Oh, that's good. Good to see Jack back on the field. Did they wash this time, or they were the great unwashed in the last in last week's pod?
I believe Team Shampoo was supplied.
Good.
Very good.
So thanks to everyone who makes this all possible: physios, the ground staff, the bar staff, catering, parents and the referees for their hard work, and something we forgot to mention last week, a special shout out to Pete Harrison, who refereed 3 games last Sunday.
Oh, well done.
3 sets of age group amended regulations to remember, 3 sets of teams to control, 3 sets of parents to annoy, and 3 post-match drinking sessions. Well done, Pete Harrison. Full marks.
Well done, Harrison.
Oh, fantastic, Pete. Well done.
Well done,
Pete.
pal. Great. And I've got here on Saturday, many of us were up at the club to play London Irish for Kieran's memorial game, which was another wonderful experience, a wonderful
Occasion and celebration of rugby.
It was like Blissy, you were watching from the sidelines.
Certainly was.
Give us your take on the game, and then we'll talk about the whole shebang later.
Oh well, I'd say the first 25 minutes, half an hour, was a wonderful showcase of running open physical rugby without anyone scoring a point. It was absolutely bonkers. It seemed like each team had maybe 4 or 5 opportunities to score for somehow engineering a way to not. I'd say that the kind of incisive running of Mala on the Cobham team was really something to behold. He still got it, that boy. Billy Davison, head coach Billy Davison, an ex second row, deciding to do absolutely no second rowing whatsoever and sort of hang out in the backs. Is something could have worked, and he did actually post a nice sort of through the legs offload later in the game. But yeah, inevitably the defense on both teams, which have really got to hand it to both of them, really kind of put their shoulders in and let the attacking team know that they were there for the entire game. Started to get a bit tired, and you started to see some really nice tries being scored. It was a game, fellas, that Kieran would have loved to play, because not only was it nice and physical, but also on occasions hilarious. And yeah, a wonderful session in the bar afterwards. So yeah, great to see his family down there. Great to see the amount of pink on show, including Craig Robson's very loud pair of chinos, which I can only assume he's had custom made. And yeah, it was lovely. We'll do it again next year.
Of course, I saw that the Podfather played for both teams in the one video.
He did.
He was sporting the green of Irish, and I saw that JJ Notter, Kieran's son, played for both teams as well, which I also really like.
And so did Rory McVeigh.
Rory played for both teams.
Yeah.
So didn't think it. Well, was trying to avoid playing for one of the teams.
Brian Blessed's love child.
I think I was on the sidelines when Rory just cantered off after doing his shift, and just as he walked over the line, you could see his shoulders just relax, and so he got a tap on the shoulder about 3 seconds later, and back on he went. There was a great moment it was one of the kicks off. Our kickoff. So either we had just scored, or maybe in the very start of the game. I remember just saying, this is the bit that Kieran would have loved. He'd be smiling, but he'd be smiling through, I don't know if you heard me, Steedy, smiling through gritted teeth, that he'd be wanting to go up and give this a right good go. It was a great game, wasn't it? It was great to see everyone. Great in the bar afterwards. Lovely.
And now we actually have a cup for it.
We do.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And it's pink.
Yeah,
So very
Great.
pink.
yeah.
Fantastic. Fantastic.
I had a great wee chat to the Irish skipper Mark as well, just before just before we hit the warm up, and we were chatting about
Friend of the pod.
life and the pod and stuff. So hello Mark, hello the squad. Thanks to London Irish for coming all the way over. I think it was just a great bunch. Some of whom we've played before. I thought their backline was handy.
Yes.
Really good running, good tackling. Usually one of the things the vets do is they get the ball out to 10 and we short shift it to 12 on a line and we usually break through. It's either someone like Jeff, Mace, or it's Valley, Ruby, right? The three of them. But we weren't really making a dent at all. And thanks to our new super coach, Dave Stewart.
Yeah.
The weirdest thing for Dave to be coaching. Why
Oh, he
wasn't
was great.
Was he good?
It was really good.
He suits a gilet and a pair of trackies on the sideline. He looks the part.
Yeah.
Right, all about it.
I can imagine that.
Plus, he's technically he's from the north, so is therefore hard and can be trusted to an extent. And of course, big thanks to Stumps for organising everything and the bar staff who kept everything going. And
Tommy Cobham did a lot too.
He did. He always bloody does. He's an absolute legend. What a wonderful event. What a wonderful memoration for Kiernan. Great to see Kieran's his wife and his brothers over from over all the way. Spoke to John Joe all the way over from the US. Cracking.
Yeah.
Loved every minute.
Hell of a day.
Speaking of the US, we've got our tour. John Joe's going to come see us on our tour, right, Podfather? Yep, John Joe's going to come see us in Nashville.
Never leave.
I mean, that'll be quiet. That'll be quiet.
Yeah, we're there to make sure that everyone's behaving appropriately.
Shall we talk about next week?
Yes.
Yeah.
Probably.
All right. It's tour time.
I tried to segue you in there, Mick. I worked hard at trying to USA, Nashville tour.
Yeah. And speaking of tour,
we can delete that bit in post. We can do that bit in post. It's tour time. Minis are off on tour. Under 8s, under 9s, under 10s, under 11s, back to Sussex, staying at the unbelievably good PGL Activity Centre. Fancy night Friday dress.
Except for Eddie Taylor. Eddie Taylor's
fancy night Friday dress.
Fancy night Friday. Can you tell?
Friday night fancy dress.
I've had half a bottle of Governor, lads. I do apologize. Of this one, Friday night fancy dress. Early for matches at Lewis on Saturday morning. And then Saturday afternoon, time to most of the facilities: axe throwing, climbing, abseiling, trapeze, slides, sports halls, football pitches, and the kids are all being looked after by the centre staff.
Oh, that's fantastic! Blissy is particularly good at trapeze.
Yeah, he's got it. I can see.
Oh yeah, would have done trapeze for GB fellas if I hadn't messed up my shoulder.
Absolutely. And then obviously the tour end of season court on Saturday with a bit of Six Nations mixed in. And then Sunday morning travel to East Grinstead for a big tournament, which will be just the best. Cannot bloody wait. Duncan, do you want to take us through the rest of the youth fixtures? Because I've spoken enough.
It's fine. I don't seem to have all of them here, but the under-12 boys are hosting Roslyn Park and Sutton and Epsom for a round-robin tournament. I don't know whether that's Saturday or Sunday. Under-13 boys, the A's are versus Sutton and Epsom, and the C's are versus London Welsh. We need to know if that's a home or away. Maybe
I'm assuming it's all Sunday.
All Sunday? Okay. Under-14 boys, friendlies versus OCs, and the under-16 boys are playing a friendly against London Welsh. Blissy, do you want to tell us about your next game?
Certainly will. The ones travel not too far away to Sutton and Epsom for our third last game of the season. The twos as well are travelling to Battersea Ironsides away to that lovely bit of field in southwest London with an affectionate name. And then I will let Pete cover the vets. But before I do, to all those fine members of the Cobham Rugby Club that have not responded yet, our end of season dinner and award ceremony is on the 6th of April at the club. Deadline for confirmation for that is close of play tomorrow. So please either reach out to me or respond as going on Spond for a fantastic meal and celebration of the season on the
Blissy,
6th of April in the evening.
That's in the evening, is it? Because we've actually got the old Surbitonans former players and the Braemar All-Stars lunch on the very same day. So the club is going to be absolutely buzzing on the 6th of April.
That is indeed in the evening. So yeah, it's after our game against Old Colfians.
Yeah.
And then in the evening upstairs at the club.
Brilliant.
Are you going to rotate in from one to the other, Peter? You're going to be.
Oh yeah.
Out.
I'll be home in bed by 8 o'clock. Don't worry about that.
Awesome.
That's time there for a nice dinner, Pete.
Oh yeah. It's a nice idea, but just not practical, I'm afraid. So the vets have a home game on Friday the 22nd against Barnes. So that should be a good one. Looking forward to that.
Yeah, they always turn up with a really good squad.
Yeah.
They've got some really good players, so it's always a good match. I remember playing against Barnes the year before the 4G pitch was there, and then the year after the 4G pitch got laid. So the stark difference between the two. And we had one of their props played for us, and he got man of the match, and he was excellent. And that was on the muddy pitch. And then the following year he played for Barnes on the 4G pitch, and I remember him making a break through Miles in the middle of the field, and Miles is trying to chase him down, and he's running and he's just yelling, I'm a winger, I'm a winger, I'm a winger. Before getting caught well after the 10 meters. So he'd really put some distance between him and Miles, but that was that was playing against Barnes. So it should be a really good night if anybody wants to come down and watch.
I'll be there. Cannot bloody wait. And I think the dinner, I'm going to bring a couple of guests from north of the border to the dinner as well.
Gary's Guns.
Gary's Guns.
And Miller.
And Miller are coming. That'll be quiet. Bring it on. Right, lads, thanks very much. Thanks, Blissy.
No worries at all.
Thanks, Duncan.
My pleasure.
Thanks, Pete.
Okay, you're welcome.
That takes a bit longer when we're on a Zoom, doesn't it? That's probably kind of double the time. We look forward to seeing you next week. And if you wanted to hear a bit more about what's happening across Surrey and get our take on some Six Nations, probably just the last two matches, I think, of the Six Nations. We'll probably skip the first one. Then hang on for the Surrey Rugby Pod. Cheers all.
Bye.
So long.